Hello, welcome to Before the Crowd, hosted by me, Down at 14, a young urban Zambian adult on a mission to provide a voice and space for people to discuss and explore various challenges and opportunities that come with navigating life. From current events to timeless debates, join me as we delve into the world around us and discover new perspectives. So grab your headsets, sit back, and get ready to join the conversation. Yeah, what's good, my people? To begin with, I'm pretty sure you can hear water in the background. I am currently in a hyperbolic chamber. I'm doing my Goku training. So, yeah, if you hear any weird sounds, don't picture anything. It's dark, it's cold, it's freezing. But yeah, it's been a wild 17 days, I guess, since I last dropped my episodes. A lot of things have happened in the land of work and joy. Zambia, my home, my country. You beautiful people. Yeah, let me just give you a recap. So, for those of you that don't exactly know, the Zambian female soccer team has made it to the World Cup. Yeah, our Copa Queens. Yay! Yay. It's an achievement. And before we got there, we beat Germany, which was a lovely win. Kudos to the ladies. But since the beginning of the World Cup, we've lost. It hurts. It hurts. It's bashed our egos a bit. We lost to Japan in the beginning of the round, but we still have hope. We still had hope. We still have hope anyway. We also lost to Spain 5-0, which kind of hurts, but kudos to Spain. Yeah. What else? What else has happened? A lot has happened in Zambia to do with vendors being kicked off the streets, which honestly I will talk about further into the episode. We've also got a couple comments from one of our viewers. Thank you for giving me something to talk about also. Large things, because I don't usually have a lot to say, but again, thank you. Personally, I've been doing good. My podcast has gotten a little bit of traction with Amazon, which is good. Amazon is publicizing us, so thank you to the listeners and the audience. Apparently, Canada also has an interest in the podcast, so it's getting a boost there. I'm an up and comer. You can find the podcast on Amazon, Spotify, and any other leading podcast streaming platforms. So thank you to everyone for allowing me this opportunity and chance. I love speaking to every one of you, and I love the feedback. I love the fact that people are actually interacting with the platform. Yeah, you do that for me, and we can get this going. Yeah, what else? A lot of the issues to do with young people in relationships with older people have arisen around the world, including in Zambia. We have predators on both sides of the picket fence, both women and men. But yeah, there are things we need to talk about as a people and as a collective. Okay, so let me first start with the latter. Okay, there's been an increasing number of, I say increasing like I've done the research here, but yes, there's an increasing number of people who are attracted to younger people. who don't have the self-control to realize that some things aren't right to do. And it's concerning because young people should be allowed to enjoy their youth. Admittedly, some older people find youth to be attractive, but that's an awkward thing to even say and start to think about, especially when you consider the fact that people in Europe are trying to change the name of pedophiles to minor attracted persons, which is weird for me to even think about. But yeah, it's a thing, especially when you get into the conversations of gender biases, gender norms, and whatnot. And I personally, and I know I'm going to get cancelled for saying some of the things I say here, but to hell with it. I'm not some saint. I'm not perfect, and I need people to know that, because putting me on a pedestal doesn't do me any favors to my ego or my sense of self. I honestly believe that feminism in Africa should be different from feminism in the West. There is a large difference between what happens in Africa and to African people that happens to the Western world. Women right now don't want to say that, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And yes, I know that some women believe that, yes, the fight for equality between white women and black women is the same. It's not. White women have a better stance than black women. It's just the truth. And most people don't want to see it because they believe all women are equal. No. It's just the same with men. Not all men are equal. And we deal with that reality from the get-go. But with the current feminism movement, and I'm no scholar in this field, you will notice that a lot of white women really have a tendency to cut off the idea that they are better off than other women, and then stick to one fight like it's the only fight there is in the world. No, it's not. And then they make their personality this fight. Why? Why do a lot of white women and men make their identity the identity of struggle? Why do they want to be so innocent to other people? Why? Honestly, it doesn't make sense to me. I would rather deal with a white person who says, yes, I acknowledge what I did in the past, and I know that there are a lot of other faulty problems in the world, and I choose to fight this fight because I feel it's something I can do. It's not to absolve myself of any of the relevant past issues that have happened to or cause of my people. It would be nice to hear that, not have people trying to absolve themselves of every sin their people have committed, because white people tend to do this to people of other races. They do it, and then when it's their turn, they try to absolve themselves of the fact that they're sinners. It's weird, but it happens. And then black women get programmed into this sort of size fits all and kind of help fight their own people. And it's honestly, the way I've seen it, it's my opinion. I'm not saying it's fact, but that's my opinion. And honestly, I'm not saying people should be pick-mes or anything, but it would be nice to hear people actually grow into themselves and actually have opinions of their own and do some research and do some learning and actually see things for themselves. I know I've said it in a previous episode or so, but when it comes to learning in Africa or in African universities, it's like the more learned a person is, the more they have this disregard for culture and heritage. They start getting all attuned to the Western vibe, and they disregard all sense of the people they're with, their village, their surrounding. And I worry about that sometimes, and it's worrying because a lot, even in school, we have debates at Molongoshi University, which honestly is a really cool thing. Oh God, my results are coming out on the 28th of July. I'm cringing right now. I hope I pass. But yeah, we have debates in philosophy classes and development studies and psyche and whatnot, on how Africa has changed from in the last at least 100 to 50 years compared to the other millennia. We have questions of identity which are rooted in trades. We have people who honestly feel tied to a tribe but have no knowledge of the tribe's heritage and culture and history, which is alarming because then it's sort of like, what's the word? Cognizant dissonance. You say something but you do something else, and it's a trend. It's a worrying trend, and with the fact that a lot of people now have their attractions rooted in identities that they're picking off the street to define themselves, which is funny because in the 21st century, I hope we're still in the 21st century anyway, the youth who say that they have no regard for identity are so concerned with identity and what they're labeled as. We are a group of people who say we don't like labels, but hinge on labels. We want to be labeled as successful, great, sexually fluid. We want achievement. We want to be seen as something, and then we want to brag about how we don't see ourselves as that. It's worrying, but it's something we need to tackle and be honest about. Let's see, what else? Yeah, I was talking about relationships and how our uncles and aunties and, older folk are abusing power. We idolize our uncles and aunties, dads and moms, and they know the power they have over young folk, and we idolize them to the point that sometimes we want to be in relationships with them. And when you were a kid, there was that person who was younger than you who you never considered to be anything other than just a friend, but they saw you as this towering figure they could confide in and talk to and have a crush on, and you would deny any sort of approach from them because you honestly didn't have this picture of attraction to them, and you made it a point to explain that. That's something that's been lacking in the recent years, and I'm speaking from a personal point. I've had people who are younger than me say they're attracted to me, and because of difference in age or conversation topics, I had to say no because it's inappropriate. It's not right. And this is going to be a personal story. I had a junior who was in junior secondary, and I completed my education, grade 12s and whatnot, and they saw me as somebody that could approach into a relationship, and I said no. They were junior secondary, and the alarming fact is that they persisted and went on, and of course I denied it because I saw it as inappropriate, as one would. But it got to a point where I had my peers tell me some very concerning things like, hey, no, it's not good that you're denying this person. You're making her feel bad and whatnot. And obviously, my take wasn't to make her feel bad. I wasn't trying to reject her because I hated her or anything like that. I was rejecting because I'm older than her and it's inappropriate to make advances to a child knowing full well that there's nothing for me to even contribute to that relationship, personally speaking. Because I wasn't looking for a relationship and I wasn't trying to play around with anyone. But it was the fact that most of them insinuated that I should go along with the advances of a child that I found very alarming. Of course, these people are no longer friends of mine because of that. I wish I could have taught them the value of not doing that. But when you can't do something for the good of your own mental health, you should stand on your ground, on your precipice, and say no. But I continue to this day still say no, because there's some things that are right and there are things that are wrong, and I have my values and I stick to them. That hasn't happened a lot in this day and age because there are a lot of people who want to indulge in their adventure and discovery, and this is a warning to some women out here, young women, those older men that are telling you you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're mature for your age, you're only 19, but you're so mature for your age. I find it completely amazing that a girl your age can have a conversation with a man like me. That man, that big man with a nice succulent voice, has a wife. He doesn't take out to the couples or the lounge or whatever. He doesn't take her there. Why? She knows him. She knows the games he plays, which is the same for women. If you have a nice older lady who just goes, hey, you're a handsome man, my boy. If she tells you you're handsome, why can't she say that to men her age? Why? Think about these things. Why is she going to the litter for a relationship? And people make excuses like, oh no, people her age, people his age are, no, they're their age for a reason. They have more things in common. There's a reason why. Think about those things. Now you're out here looking stupid in videos, getting leaked and thrown all over the internet. And of course, I'm not saying that only grown folk and young folk do this leaking stuff. Yeah, there's some people who are younger who are leaking your videos that are internet. And hear me when I say this. I'm not saying that you shouldn't send those things. Trust people you send those things to. And I'm saying this because human intimacy will change over the years. And it's not like it's a new thing that people are using the internet to be intimate with each other. Of course, there's some people who fuck up and send the video to the wrong person who then just blows it out of proportion. But the fact is, people have been doing it for years and people will still do it for years. Trust the people you do it with. Have contingencies. Hold them accountable. The world is a fucked up place. It's a very fucked up place. but at least control your environment, control the parameters of which you work in. Be real about the things that happen here. Hold your partners, your playthings, your play people, your play parents accountable for their actions. Accountability is a great thing. We need to hold people accountable for their actions. I'm not saying that I'm a saint. Yeah, I need to be held accountable for some of the things I've done. There are people who at the picket fences saying that I'm a douchebag, because obviously I am. I'm not a saint. And I wish I was a saint. But the truth is I'm human. I'm flawed. I make mistakes. I lie. I tell the truth. I backstab. I console. I'm confident. People have told me secrets that I wish I could have kept. People have told me secrets that I wish I could remember. And obviously no man is an island, but sometimes being alone is great. Sometimes having company is amazing. Know the lines. Know the people you're working with. And to the sugar babies and, those of you selling your booties out there in the world, the world is a messed up place, and you're using what you have to the best of your abilities. Some people just don't have it as bad as you, or as great as you. But truth is, it's a hard place. It's a hard place. You're doing what you have to do. I'm not saying take pride in it, but hey, you're surviving. You're doing better than most. Yeah. The Copa Queens at the World Cup. Yo, you guys could do so much better. I'm not a huge soccer fan. I'm not going to pretend like I am. I'm not a huge soccer fan because soccer in our country at international level has disappointed us quite a number of times. But yeah, there's a lot to be proud of. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to be proud of, but when it really matters, you have disappointed us quite a number of times. And that goes to the male team too. But I believe the Copper Queens can do something about it. I admit this is going to be like the third match they're going to have after this. I just hope that the defense can get better. Stop relying on only one striker. Barbara Banda is not the only teammate you guys have. Pull up your socks, which sounds like such a cliche to say because it's like every African's go-to word, pull up your socks, especially like in school. But you guys have done an amazing thing. You made it to the World Cup. Hopefully you make it to the World Cup and absorb your names. That's what we all hope for. But yeah, the losses are taking tolls on our hearts. But yeah, you guys are still Copper Queens, so yeah, do your thing. Wow, have I really been going on for that long? This hyperbolic chamber is really starting to get real cold. Yeah. Yeah. Now to talk about the vendors, street vendors. It's been a thing. It's been a thing, guys. So of the 17 days I have been away, the last week or so, street vendors have been kicked off the streets of Zambia, Lusaka. Because the initiative is that we're trying to keep the city streets clean and manageable, and Zambia has a lot of people currently. So people are trying to make a living. The job market in Zambia is kind of scarce and hard. You need connections. I'm pretty sure I talked about this in the first episode of the podcast. the job market is scarce. There are a lot of youth that are having problems trying to create or find jobs, so they're turning to the streets and selling goods and fruits. And then we also, not just only the youth, by the way, but there are a lot of parents and folk that are trying to find means of making money, and they turn to the streets, which is awfully complicated because, you know, people need space to move around, but people also need to make money. And the only way to do that is to start selling stuff like foods, veggies, clothes, because like not a lot of people can afford the shops. But if you know one thing about Zambia is that the street vendors themselves have brought a life of their own to these streets. There's a lot of personality and perseverance in selling goods, and it's a lovely interaction on its best days. You know, you have these amazing people who are selling goods, and they have stories to share, and their views and topics that they speak of that you'd never really have a chance to hear or pick up on if you haven't interacted with them. A lot of the Zambian community know of a man called Simon Mwewa. He has this thing. Well, he has an impeccable accent, by the way. I've been told I sound like him by a few, but not really. He has this thing where he goes out into the street, and of course he tries giving pointers and lessons of the English lexicon and whatnot. He asks questions and gives pointers to the vendors and street people, of course. But yeah, so over the last 1 week or so, a lot of them have been kicked off the streets in town, and of course some people are fighting back against this, and it's worrying because there has to be a way to at least find a middle ground. Of course, I want to say, yeah, find a job and that makes things easy for them, but no, it's not as easy. And saying no, build the infrastructure for them to go to isn't as easy to say. It's a whole local government planning thing, and I wish I had more knowledge on some of these issues, but I don't, so I can't clearly just get out here and just say, no, this is bad, this is what. But it is bad. It is a terrible thing to do to people. I wish we could find a way to mitigate the issue, find a way to have a middle ground and still have these people working and earning a living, you know? Because I could clearly just off the top of my head say, hey, why don't we make this a tourist attraction thing, and why don't local civil engineers try and make booths for them to, but then it's a planning thing. It's a planning thing, it's a resources thing. Obviously the powers that be have a reason for doing that, and some might say it's abrupt, it just happened, but hey, they have a reason for doing that. And I don't know as much and as well, but hey, they must be doing something right. We hope and pray they're doing something to at least allow these people a chance to earn a living, because hey, it would be disappointing to just hear that they up and decided that street vendors shouldn't be around, because again, it could be used for tourism, interaction with people. Yeah, you probably heard that beep. That was my phone. I wish I could cut that out. So, yeah. But yeah. I think I'm going to turn to my comment from the viewer right about now. Before I go and blubber and on. So this viewer, I'm not going to name names, sent me a comment asking, hey, why is it that when men cheat, women are okay with it, and it's all forgiven by women and whatnot, but when women do that in turn, these men just decide, hey, let's go. We're done with this relationship. Honestly, I'd like to say that's a good question. That's a very good question to ask. But where do I begin giving a proper, concrete explanation? I can only give my point of view, and hopefully that will suffice. And thank you to the viewer for the question, by the way. Let me first start by saying relationships are hard. No one person's advice is complete, solid, and concrete. Yeah. See, the excuse that men cheat more than women is a farce. It's a farce. When you come down to it, women have more selection power than men. So you know for a fact that a woman is picking between her roster of men. And of course, I'm not saying that men don't have it easy conversing with women. We don't have it easy, by the way. We don't. We actually have to have a thing called personality and charm. But those are things we have to cultivate. Women, on the other hand, don't always have to work on their personality. Their advantage is beauty. And of course, over the years, a lot of men have realized, we can make ourselves beautiful, attractive, but we have to be interesting. And that in itself is a charm. But the truth here is that over the years, women cheat better than men because they have more market, they have more people to cater to than men. But I think the reason why it's accepted that men cheat is because of the idea that men are physical beings and we're not emotionally attuned as women. I think the rumor is men can have not emotions. Well, can have attraction to something but not necessarily want it. No, she's a pretty woman. He just sees her and he wants her body. He still loves his wife because that's a woman he's invested in. It's complicated, but that's what they say. That's what they say. And just because he cheats doesn't mean he doesn't not love you. He's still attracted to you. He still wants you. He just felt the urge. That might be true for some people. I don't know if it's everyone. You have to realize in the world, some people have settled for the people they're married to or in a relationship with. It doesn't necessarily mean that they love this person. It could have been that they gave up looking for something better because something better passed, and they can't have it, so they can have you, and then later on they found the person they could be with, and then and that's why they say monogamy is a scam. But they say monogamy is a scam, and it's hard to persevere through monogamy. It's like the example of only eating apples your whole entire life. Is that sustainable? But hey, guys, you can't have apples every day. They might chase the doctor away, but not the appetite. You see? So I'm not saying I'm not a monogamous guy. I'm just saying, hey, But yeah, if we have the hard conversation of, do you believe you're the type of person who can manage having one person your whole entire life? Can you always keep them entertained enough to always want to be with you? And don't forget, relationships have fights, short tempers, arguments. Eesh. And of course, I know I'm speaking on behalf of women when I say all this stuff. But when I start mentioning why most men leave, it's going to sound so stereotypical and so bad and non-nuanced. Like, okay, if we say women cheat, the best examples and reasons I've been given is she was probably thinking about it for months, and she couldn't tell him because she was mustering up the courage to have no feelings when she tells him. But then if she's been thinking about it for months and can't explain to this man why she wants to cheat, and she has to build the courage to not have feelings, doesn't it mean that she has feelings? Like, no, it was just an ache that he started crying and showing emotion, and you're like, hey, Ali, yo, it means I can't tell her anything, and recently that's been a trend with a lot of people. No, he tells me his feelings, he's supposed to be a man, he's just supposed to handle it and deal with it like that. And when I cheated, he left because he was in his feelings about it. Yeah, he was. What did you think he wasn't? He was. Men have a fragile sense of masculinity. Masculinity isn't as big and as strong as people think, right? A lot of men out in the world right now are teetering on a thin line. Like, if you cut that line, he'll fuck everyone up. He will kill anything and everything. Those are some of the men you're dealing with right now, which is the same for some women, but like, yo, this guy hasn't dropped a tear in the last 20 years, and then on that day just get a razor blade and cut his line, and now he's got a knife in you, strangling your neck, and you're like, oh, I'm surprised. Yeah. Like, men grow up in a hostile environment their whole entire lives. And I'm saying this because, like, I'm honestly saying I have a fragile sense of masculinity, because I do. I'm self-conscious. I try to be strong about a lot of the things I do, but hey, on my worst days, I'm sensitive. Take me the wrong way and I can blow a gasket in your face. Boom. And women are lucky because they get to talk about their feelings and they can be handled with care. Men, immediately I go to my boys and go like, guys, I want to cry. They'll be like, cry? Go to the gym. Cry? Go eat food. Cry? Man, you're weak. And like, if you're not confident in yourself, that stuff can break you. These people will break you because they'll laugh. Like, you get into an accident and they're like in the hospital and they're like, you got hit by a car and you're in the hospital taking meds. You're not a man, And that's the environment we live in as men. We laugh at our pain and hopefully we try to move past it. But like when it comes to things with love, we're fragile to it because we don't know how to handle it. And a lot of us have this peer pressure thing where like, okay, you don't necessarily want to go from, but everyone in your crew is like, how can you be single? Are you gay? Like, even if you say like, no, I'm not gay, I just don't think I can handle women right now. Like, gay. Oh no, why aren't you talking to girl? Gay. Oh no, she's not that. Why didn't you talk gay? Gay. You're biting your word gay. You know, so it's like, hey, it's hard because then we also, okay, men also don't have patience. So women, patience is not our virtue. It's like, it's close to our heart, but we don't get it. Like, anything takes us so leave. Oh no, my friend will leave. No, you can't always be able to leave. So it's hard. It's hard to give you concrete advice on why things are in the world the way they are, especially when it comes to relationships of men and women. But the best thing I can tell you is communicate with your partner. If you see that they're having trouble communicating, give them space to come out with it. If it doesn't work, leave. Try something new with somebody new. I'm not going to tell you suffer with a person who's not doing their due diligence. Leave. Because, hey, life is hard. Your life is hard. You can't be struggling out here with one person for the rest of your life. Hey, if you're really in love with them and you can handle that, hey, stick with them. If you're polyamorous and you love groups of people doing their thing with you, do your thing. I ain't judging. But hey, if you hear me die alone in the street, don't worry about me. I got Christ. You know? But yeah. Best advice I can give you or deal you in this deck of cards is communicate with them, try and find out what's going on. No shoe size fits all, so it's a wild world out there. Yeah. So this has been Down at 14. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Before the Crowd. For anyone else listening out there, you can find me on any leading podcast streaming platform. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Spotify for podcasters. You can find me on SoundCloud. And you will most definitely find me on Amazon. Thank you. And that's all.